So, Steve, you're a longtime resident of Atlanta who spent many, many, many years in the automobile business and slowed down from that and got into a place where you were, I'm going to call it retired. I feel badly. I don't think I should even refer to you as being retired because you probably do more on a daily basis than anybody I know. But you and your wife decided that you wanted to move to the beach, if you will. And so talk to me about your situation. How long had you lived in Northeast Atlanta?
Well, we actually moved to Alpharetta back in '89. We were there for a couple of years, and then the company I was working with as a consultant, they moved us to Denver for what I was thinking was our final move. I
Okay.
loved Denver, it was very nice. And then we won a large contract with a telecommunications company back in Atlanta. And so they volunteered me to come back and be a project manager. So
Okay.
about a year after moving to Denver, I ended up coming back to Atlanta in 1995.
95. So were you in the same home that you just sold since 95?
Yes, so
Wow.
almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years in the same home. How did you and Mary get to the point where you were confident enough to go, yep, this is what we need to do? How did that happen?
Well, it started, I guess, after retirement. We did a lot of things around Atlanta, and we realized there's just the two of us these days. My two daughters had flown the coop, and
Yep.
one of them actually lives down in Hilton Head.
Okay.
And so that was one reason why we moved into that area.
Yep.
They have four grandkids, adorable grandkids that we really enjoy being around. We went back and forth for quite some time, actually, thinking, do we want to move? And we looked at a number of areas, Greenville, Lexington, South Carolina,
Okay.
and then the Bluffton, Hilton Head area. With my daughter and her family being in Hilton Head, we decided, oh, well, let's go down there, take a look around. And so we found a realtor to show us around the area, spent a lot of time with us, very patient. Yeah, we looked at a lot of areas, and we finally settled on an over 55 community.
Now, one of the issues as you moved is you moved from, let's just call it a total of what, 4,500 square feet? I don't know, might even been 5,000 square feet total, including the basement. And then you've moved to 2,000 square feet. I know it's a little bit more than that, but let's just call it 2,000 square feet. What challenges has that caused for you in terms of moving?
Lots.
Yes.
The big thing was identifying what we didn't want to bring with us, which a lot of it was fairly easy to do.
Right.
The hard part was a lot of sentimental items from my parents back in the UK,
Right.
Mary's parents, our kids growing up. So all those things, you're not sure, should I dump it or should I bring it with us?
Yeah.
And I know we brought more than what we should have. Do we really need to keep this? Was this a special memory for us versus just, something they did at school, so on and so forth, things like that. There was no logic to it. It was
Okay.
just how
Okay.
strongly we felt.
So it was all emotional. Yes, we need to keep
Yes.
it. No, we don't need to keep it. And so now that you've arrived in your new place, it seems to me like you have way more than 2,000 square feet worth of stuff that you're trying to figure out how to put into a 2,000 square foot home.
Right, exactly.
But as you and Mary started to move forward or started to think, hey, there's another place for us to live, there's a next step for us, what were the things that just worried you or maybe gave you a sense of like overwhelm or whatever? Or were there any things?
We were worried about probably every component that goes into a move,
Okay.
but we have been extremely fortunate, both from the end in Atlanta to the move to arriving here in Bluffton, that everything has actually gone very smoothly. We've been so fortunate with you and our agent at this end, the moving company. It's been very painless.
Good.
We haven't had to worry about anything so far. It's just getting organized and actually getting ready to make the move and packing.